Salut survivors! Welcome back to SolutOdka channel in Medieval Dynasty Guide series. Today is a new episode of the Is It Worth It series. We will be delving into the Herbalist Hut Tier 1 through healing potions, enhancement potions, other potions, as well as the poisoned ammo. And we will be checking how much cash we can expect to generate with the various recipes at our disposal. So, for this Herbalist Hut Tier 1 video guide, I will split it into 3 parts. Part 1, comparative analysis of the various products, as usual. Part 2, this will be an in-depth review of the various ammo, arrows and bolts. Part 3, my assessment and recommendations. This episode will then complete the Tier 1 buildings deep dives, and I think I will then be working on a comprehensive and more compact summary on how to make money early to mid-game. If you have any questions or suggestions, please do not hesitate to leave a message in the comment section down below. Now, let's go straight to the video. Part 1. Comparative analysis. So, for the Herbalist Hut, we once again have a lot of ingredients to consider. So I did a little bit of a coding system here, as you can see, for the different ingredients, so that later on when we write down the recipes, we use acronyms for all of them. Something to note about these raw materials at the Herbalist Hut. Some, like a bucket of water or the wooden vial, you can simply craft anytime you want, right? Maybe to be noted that the bucket of water contains 10 units of water, and therefore every potion will consume 1/10 of the price of a bucket of water. But for the different plants, the broadleaf plantain, dandelion, teasel, and so on and so forth, they all have different seasons. So some can only be harvested in summer, it's written here. Some it's in summer and spring, and others are summer, spring, and autumn, actually. 3 seasons out of 4. Meaning that depending on the herbs that might or might not be interesting to craft potions, then there will be different seasons when you can harvest them. And probably it's easier, rather than you running on the fields in the nature to look for flowers, to utilize a survivalist at the Herbalist Hut. We'll look at this later. Or you can buy them from the herbalist in town. Besides this, we have also poppy seeds, that's from farming in a field, harvested at autumn. And we have hop, also harvested at autumn, from an orchard. Then we have all the stone arrows, copper arrows, and so on. And this will be more in depth in the part 2, chapter 2 of this deep dive today. So let's look at our potions. We have here all the recipes of the Tier 1 Herbalist Hut, and from all the healing potions, because their value at sale is pretty low, 5, 14, 10, nothing is really great. On the enhancement potions, we have 3 potions of interest. That's the potion of saturation, potion of weight, and potion of temperature. So, potion of saturation and potion of weight can represent 107 and 106% respectively benefit on value, which is quite interesting, and we will compare that a bit further down there. But the one that really triggers attention of all of these potions Tier 1 is the potion of temperature. Because for simply 5 hops, 1 wooden vial, and 1/10 of bucket of water, you will be able to produce 1 potion of temperature that has a value of 40. And this represents a plus 266% profit on value, which is very, very good. Continuing, poison, nothing really great, 59%. And to my surprise, actually, when you compare the price of arrows versus the price of poison arrows, we don't really make much money to poison them. Even if 1 poison permits to apply your poison on 10 ammo at the same time, then basically you make plus 35 to plus 80%. To be noted is that to poison bronze arrows and even more poison iron arrows is kind of like mid to late game. Therefore, it's not necessarily the best in the early game approach we have here. 1 and 2, even if you can craft these in a tier 1 herbalist hut, for you to produce iron arrows and bronze arrows, you need a higher smithy level than a smithy tier 1. And basically, the comparison here ends. It's straightforward. You have one very good one, potion of temperature, and two interesting one, potion of saturation and weight. And now this is going to lead us into the part 2, because I was not satisfied with this result of the poison ammo deep dive. So let's look at this in more detail. Okay, here we are. So for this arrows and bolts study, I have first looked at the price and the benefit you have from producing your arrows and bolts. So stone arrows, wooden bolts, and then copper arrow, bronze arrow, iron arrows. It's the same as copper bolts, bronze bolts, iron bolts. So as a result of this initial comparison, basically we can see that the copper arrow is not really interesting, while stone arrows, wooden bolts, bronze arrows, and iron arrows bolts provide an interesting profit, right, of ranging between plus 100 to plus 150%. But already at that point in time, the wooden bolt sticks out, and we already mentioned the wooden bolt when we analyzed the smithy. The wooden bolt already appeared as one of the good, interesting products in order to generate income. And there, I did a version B of the poison ammos. Remember a bit earlier, we looked at the version A that was to compare the price between say a stone arrow and a poison stone arrow. Here we are not looking at it that way. We are looking at it in what is the actual cost to produce your stone arrow from the raw material of the stone arrow to the chain of transformation up to the poison stone arrow. And when we do that, when we combine the profit of crafting the arrow from the raw material of the arrow plus the profit of applying a poison, we have these new profit levels here. And we can clearly see that we have two excellent ones, that's the poison iron arrow and the poison bronze arrow. However, as mentioned earlier, this is a more mid to late game, depending on how you play. But very early on, the poison wooden bolt provides a plus 204% profit. Now, to be noted is that you still have 190% profit on a poison stone arrow, but it does not really make sense to make money out of a poison stone arrow because a stone arrow costs stones in addition to the sticks and feathers compared to the wooden bolt. So there isn't really a point in going after the 190% on the poison stone arrow. If you do that, then you might as well go for the poison wooden bolt, and it doesn't cost you the stones, and otherwise it's all the same. Therefore, the poison wooden bolt is really much better. Then the poison copper arrow, it's less good and it will cost you copper. So basically, if you really want to make an income, it's better with a poison copper arrow. So that's closing here now our part 2, the more in-depth study on the arrows and bolts, which was, I think, quite interesting because, right, we were able to compare the version B with the version A, right? Now we'll move into the part 3, which is my recommendation and my assessment. Now, when we come to my assessment, as usual now, I have listed down the most interesting ones, right? So potion of saturation, potion of weight, potion of temperature, we mentioned already these 3 earlier, and then the poison wooden bolt, poison bronze arrow, and poison iron arrow. Now, in terms of how many items you need to produce in order to reach an equivalent value of 1000 coins, we have it here. What is of interest is that for numerous items, we don't need high quantities, right? Which is quite interesting, I think, in this aspect. But let's look now on what are the pros and cons of these different ones. So the potion of saturation in order to generate 1,000 coins, you will need almost 91 potions of saturation. And in order to produce that, you will need 364 daisies. Okay, so it all depends how you look at it. It's 364 flowers to have 1,000 coin value. Now, the daisies can only be harvested in spring and summer, so it's kind of a bit cumbersome to constantly play with your survivalist what is he or she harvesting at the herbalist hut. But in addition, the work it takes for survivalist level 3 to harvest 364 daisies is more or less one full season. So it would take a full spring or a full summer to harvest enough daisies to produce this 1,000 coins worth of value in terms of potion of saturation. And at the end of the day, we already saw that a survivalist level 3 can generate more income from the fishes at the fishing hut. So if you're only doing this in the purpose of making a profit, then there is not really a point to have a survivalist level 3 harvesting daisies 2 seasons per year. He might as well just harvest fishes 4 seasons per year, and he will generate more money, and it will be much easier to manage. Therefore, potion of saturation, for me, it's not so okay. Even if statistically it looks good, as a result, you have better to do. Then we have the potion of weight. So the potion of weight will require poppy seeds and henbane. The poppy seeds, it's not too difficult to produce. You can easily have a field and a couple of farmers to seed your poppies, and every year, every autumn, you get your poppy seeds production. However, the henbane can only be harvested during summer, and your survivalist will produce at level 3 likely around 130 to 140 per day. Therefore, it's okay, but it's kind of like complicated to produce all of this only during summer for your henbane, and only during autumn for your poppy seeds, and then in autumn finally you can produce your potion of weight and sell them. So it's okay, but it's not brilliant. Now we arrive to the interesting ones. So for me, we have the poison wooden bolt that is, in my opinion, very good, as long as you have the mindset to be in the feather business. So as we already discussed at the smithy, you can make a good income from the wooden bolts. Now if you go for the poison wooden bolt, you will enhance that business, and basically if you don't use the poison, you will need 333 feathers to generate 1,000 coin value. If you use the poison, you will only need 200. Therefore, you will save on feathers in your feather business. It can be interesting. To be noted is that you will also need the deadly nightshade, of course, for the poison. And this deadly nightshade, it's only during summer. But if you produce, say, around 135 per day, you are totally fine. If you have a full summer producing poison, the deadly nightshade to produce poison, you'll be able to generate a lot of poison, and you can make a good income from your poison wooden bolts. Therefore, it's very good, once again, as long as you are in the feather business. And now we have what I think are the two big stars. One is the potion of temperature, because the potion of temperature we saw has a really, really high profit margin. 1. 2, it is very simple, because you only need hops, right? Hops and, of course, water and wooden vials, but it's only one type of ingredients. You don't have like multiple flowers, it's only hops. 1. 2, to produce hops is not really complicated. You set up your orchards early in the game, you harvest every autumn, and you can very quickly have a good hop production. And the hop does not have much uses until you produce beer at the tavern in the late game. Therefore, from the early to the late game, you can utilize your hops to produce potion of temperatures and generate a very good income. Because you only need 125 hops to produce 25 potions of temperature, which is worth 100,000 coins in value, right? So you need a bit more to generate 1,000 coins depending on your bartering level. But generally, this is easy to produce with a very good income and worth for the whole early to mid game. Big star number 1. And then we have big star number 2, that's the poison bronze arrow. So this one is really fantastic as long as you're already producing bronze. So if you have a Smithy tier 1, you cannot produce bronze. But if you are the Smithy tier 2 with just a few bronze bars, you can make a really good fortune. Because in order to have equivalent of 1000 coins, you only need 2.5 set of 10, meaning 25, right? But here we count in sets of 10. And 2.5 sets, it's only 2.5 poison, 25 sticks and feathers, and 2.5 bronze bars. So it's very cheap. So to give you a bigger picture, if you have 10 bronze bars, 50 deadly nightshade for your 10 poisons, and you have 1 full bucket of water of 10 units and 10 wooden vial and 100 feathers and sticks, you will generate 4,000 in value. Therefore, it is really good. As long as you are producing bronze, which you are probably not yet there, but as soon as you have it, with just a little bit of bronze, you can make a really good business. It's very interesting. Lastly, we have the poison arrow. It's kind of similar to the bronze arrow, to be honest, and then it's coming very late game. If you're already at the time in the poison bronze arrow, well, you will need a little bit less if you do it with iron. So it's not, for the purpose of the, let's say, early to mid game income, it's not the best. Overall, to summarize, we have a very good poison wooden bolt if you are producing feathers. You have an excellent potion of temperature, very easy to do, just simply plant hops and hops. And lastly, if you're already in the bronze, you have the poison bronze arrow. But the others, they are not so interesting at the Herbalist Hut. I hope you enjoyed this new episode of Is It Worth It analysis video. And on that note, let's go to the like and subscribe buttons. I appreciate very much the support. Thank you for watching and see you in my next videos. Cheers.